Davidson County Council is coming to you live from the council chambers at the historic Metro Courthouse. It's a public affairs presentation of the Metro Nashville Network. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Nolan, your announcer for this program. Tonight, the 15th Metropolitan Council holds its 59th business meeting of a four-year term. This is the fifth council meeting of 2022. Tonight's council agenda is 37 pages long, involving 106 pieces of legislation. That includes 28 second reading zoning bills on public hearing, 18 resolutions, 40 first reading bills, 11 second reading pieces of legislation, and 9 ordinances on third and final reading. The meeting begins tonight with a note of sadness. At-large member Steve Glover has resigned effective immediately. He's having a number of serious health issues and decided it was probably best for him to step down at this point. Councilman Glover had served 2 terms as a district council member. He also served half his term of 4 years here as an at-large member, and previously he had also served as a elected member of the Metro School Board. There'll be no replacement for him at this point. The Metro Charter does not provide for replacement elections for at-large members should the vacancy come up. The seat will therefore remain vacant until the next council elections come up, which will be in August of 2023. On the agenda tonight, there are also 3 appointments to city boards and commissions. All 3 of them are new appointments to the Metro Arts Commission. Tonight's meeting is again being held during the still ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. State law has stripped the Metro Health Department of the power to continue a mask mandate in all city-owned buildings. Therefore, wearing masks tonight is again recommended but not required. During public hearings, the council was set to consider BL 2021-832 to establish an inclusionary zoning code to provide financial incentives for developers to include and maintain affordable housing in their developments. This bill has come up several times before, but has never quite gotten past public hearing. In fact, the public hearing has not been held. I understand it will be deferred again tonight from the sponsor. One more time, she says, and we'll see what happens after that. There may be, again, more study and perhaps more amendments to it before it's finally brought up for the public hearing. Right now, it'll be at least a month before there's another public hearing session is held next time. There's also a companion piece of legislation, BL 2021-912. On second reading tonight, it will also be deferred for a month. On second reading tonight, there are 3 bills that we're seeking to modify the pilot program the council approved 2 weeks ago to test the use of license plate readers in Nashville. 2 of them are going to be deferred tonight. One to be deferred is BL 2022-1114. It would have added a new definition of personal identifiable information to protect the privacy of those involved. BL 2022-1115 will also be deferred tonight. It would exclude assisting with immigration enforcement as an allowed use for LPR data. The one ordinance that may move tonight on second reading is BL 2022-1116. It would ensure that the city's community oversight board reaches parity with Metro Police in terms of being able to access LPR data. Regarding other second reading bills, BL 2021-866 prohibits passengers in motor vehicles from consuming or possessing an alcoholic beverage or a beer during the operation of the vehicle. State law prohibits the driver of a motor vehicle consuming an alcoholic beverage or beer or having the option of a container or having an open container during the operation of the vehicle. The same state law also authorized local governments to prohibit the consumption or possession of an open container by passengers. This bill is going to be deferred tonight for more study. It does have a pretty quick sunset date in it already of October 1st, 2022, unless the bill is extended by a resolution of the council. We'll see what happens, but again, we understand the bill will be deferred tonight. The council will also consider on second reading BL 2022-1089. It seeks to further clarify the rules regarding the regulations of downtown entertainment transportation vehicles, a law that the council first passed last year. The bill was significantly amended at the last meeting. There are more amendments awaiting tonight, so apparently the bill will be amended, will be probably deferred, we understand, at least one more time tonight. Finally, on second reading, BL 2022-1120 would approve a contract between the Metro Police and the Mental Health Cooperative to provide training for police personnel in responding to incidents with folks suffering from mental health issues. This has been a matter much in the news here in Nashville and around the nation lately. Again, the bill is on second reading tonight. It was passed as a late bill last time and expected likely to be approved again tonight unless there are questions that have come up in committee. On resolutions tonight, RS 2022-1397 will accept a $352,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Justice. The grant will be used to implement a DUI court to serve participants convicted of a misdemeanor DUI offense. No cash match is required for this program. The program would run until the end of September 2025. RS 2022-1401 would accept an in-kind grant valued at $116,000 from the Centennial Park Conservancy to fund the restoration of the marble cast in the Treasury Room at the Parthenon in the park. Resolution 2022 1402 would approve another contract with the Mental Health Cooperative. The group would maintain 2 staff members to provide outreach, assessment, and linkage to care for individuals identified by the EMS Division of Metro Fire Department as a part of the opioid overdose response program. Mental Health Cooperative will manage and oversee staff, provide transportation for clients to initial substance abuse treatment programs, and collect data on the effectiveness of their services. The cost of this is not to exceed $177,400. Council will also consider 2 resolutions related to the Police K-9 Division. RS 2022-1407 would accept a donation valued at almost $12,000 of an untrained police dog from the Cornerstone Church, the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to utilize in patrol tracking with the detection of explosives or narcotics. RS 2022-1408 would accept a donation of $5,000 from the Alderhurst International to provide training courses for 2 of Metro's K-9 unit trainers. Any donation above $5,000 or more to Metro must be approved by the Council. One resolution tonight also impacts the ongoing recovery from the Christmas Day bombing downtown back in 2020. RS 2022-1412 approves a memorandum of understanding by and between the Metro Planning Commission and the Metro Development and Housing Agency to advance the planning and reconstruction of areas downtown damaged by the December 25th, 2020 bombing. There are also 2 memorializing resolutions on the agenda tonight. RS 2022-1414 would urge the Tennessee General Assembly to approve the Crown Act, which is before that body. Crown Act stands for Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. It's a measure already approved by other states and local governments. The purpose of the law is to prohibit discrimination based on hairstyles and hair texture. African Americans are the most impacted demographic when it comes to this kind of discrimination based on hairstyle and hair texture, although many other groups also experience this kind of discrimination. Another memorialized resolution recognizes the Blue Moon Waterfront Grill located in Rock Harbor Arena as it celebrates its 10th anniversary. This milestone occurs after the restaurant was swept away by the May 10th flood of 2010 that devastated Nashville. There are 3 late resolutions of note. One would approve a memorandum of understanding with the National League of Cities to participate in the Southern Cities Economic Inclusion Initiative, expanding capacity, building resilience. Metro was chosen on a competitive basis with other cities and will contribute $25,000 to collaborate with the League to decide and implement local economic inclusion strategies that close racial and economic equity gaps for residents and businesses of color. Another late resolution would declare a day of prayer for Ukraine. That would be on Thursday, March 3rd. This is as Ukraine battles against Russia, which invaded that country recently. We've seen other things in the city lit in those colors in the last couple of days. Mayor Cooper has lit the courthouse in Ukrainian colors, as well as the Korean Veterans Bridge. Governor Lee has also lit the state colors in Ukrainian colors as well. One of the late resolutions tonight would add an additional public hearing to this year's budget process. It would be held at the next council meeting on March 13th. It would last up to 2 hours, with those signing up in advance receiving 2 hours for individuals and 10 minutes for groups to speak. In years past, there has been 1 public hearing held in June while the budget is pending on second reading. This second public hearing would give the council more time to reflect on ideas or suggestions made by the public. If you want to follow tonight's council meeting as it progresses, you can find the agenda and a staff analysis online. Just go to the Metro Council portion of the Nashville.gov website and the Legislative Information Center. We'll also be placing the numbers of the bills on the screen when they come up for consideration tonight, so you can follow along with where we are on the meeting agenda. Let's now go to Vice Mayor Jim Shulman, who will be gaveling tonight's council meeting into order shortly.
ready to go. You ready to bang it?
Is that the public table right there?
It's way back there. Okay, you ready? You're going to bang it 3 times. Go ahead.
Right now?
Mm-hmm. Good. Now put that down. Will the meeting please come to order? We welcome you to the Metro Council. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. Will all members of the council, as well as the public, please rise for the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation this evening will be offered by Pastor Joe Coleman of the Saturn Drive Baptist Church, a guest of Councilmember Russ Bradford.
Let us pray. Almighty God, creator of heaven and earth, forgive us for the many times we bow in prayer simply to be seen of others. For tonight, dear Lord, we come before your holy presence, fervently asking for peace. We ask for an end to the invasion that's bringing so much suffering in Ukraine, a war that threatens us all. And Father, as we pray for peace abroad, we also pray for peace at home, for peace within our hearts. Father, I thank you for the men and women of this council that work so hard to make our city a place where peace reigns. And we ask that you give us all hearts that strive for peace. Lord, create in us hearts of righteousness formed as we forgive one another just as you've forgiven us. And create in us hearts that strive for justice tempered by mercy. And create in us hearts that are ruled by love for you and love for one another. And may we be guided by love that extends far beyond merely tolerating one another, but by a love that finds itself rooted in genuine respect and in a heartfelt gratitude for each other as we walk together in this land that we call one nation under God. We ask it all according to your perfect will. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. Okay, stay right there for a second. Y'all may be seated. I would like to introduce the banger of the gavel for tonight, Grant. Grant is a 3rd grader at Sylvan Park. And Grant, you're 8 years old, correct? Yes. And you did an excellent job of banging the gavel in front of the meeting, so thank you. And now you can return to your mom who's sitting over there, okay? You good? He obviously has watched the council meetings before. All right, thank you all. Without objection, we will suspend the calling the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of those members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for adoption of the minutes of the meeting from February? Got a motion for February 15, 2022, properly seconded. Without objection, the minutes of the meeting will stand approved as written. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
And I thought I saw the mayor up here. Did he leave? All right, I did see him back up there. So anyway, the mayor was here, but obviously he didn't have any messages for us. So a couple of items before we get into the agenda. As you know from the memorandum today, our at-large council member Steve Glover resigned from the council effective today. Councilmember Glover has served the city well for many, many years in several different capacities. I very much wish him good health. I think the council joins me in wishing that. Knowing Steve, I believe that he will continue to find ways to serve. That's the Steve Glover I know. I also want to send a big thank you to his wife, Sandy, who is a tremendous, wonderful person in her own right. So, Councilmember Glover, if you're watching tonight, we are going to miss you, and we want to thank you for your service to our city. Please join me in thanking him. So next I go to Councilmember Pulley. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I would like to acknowledge and recognize Boy Scout Troop 92, the Boy Scouts who are here from that troop, the adult leaders and their parents. They meet at Woodmont Christian Church in my district, and they are here tonight working on their citizenship in the Community Merit Badge. So we thank you all for attending.
If you all want to stand up, we can recognize you. There you are. And Councilmember Hauser, you may have someone here as well. Councilmember Hauser.
Yes, I have a Boy Scout that is working towards his eagle. His name is Ben Maxwell. Ben, would you stand up? Okay. I have shown him the agenda for tonight. He may not stay for all of it.
Does he still get his merit badge if he leaves early?
Well, he's not working for a merit badge. He's working towards his Eagle project.
Oh, okay. Does he still get that if he leaves early? You don't know. Okay. There we go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there are obviously many important things going on in the world today. Our president speaks tonight and will be delivering the State of the Union address with our thoughts focused on what is going on in Ukraine and the people of Ukraine. I am without objection calling up a late filed resolution filed by Council Members Murphy, Hancock, and Rutherford. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move to suspend the rules.
Okay, let me read the caption of the resolution. It is a resolution recognizing the Metropolitan Council's support of the people of Ukraine. I'm going to go to Councilmember Vercher. Did this one come before the Rules Committee?
Yes, Vice Mayor, it did.
There
were no objections.
Any objections? So Councilmember Murphy has moved to suspend the rules to get this one before the body right now. She has moved to suspend the rules. Any objection to suspension of the rules? Seeing none, Councilmember Murphy, you're on your resolution.
Thank you. I think that all of us recognize the seriousness and importance of the events that have been going on over the last week, not just the last week, but over the past several years, in decades, honestly, that many of us may or may not have been paying attention to, and unfortunately that the youth here tonight are having to experience at a young age. And I think it is important that while we are a local government, a municipality, that even though we don't have a say, meaning we don't directly vote on foreign policy, things like that, I think it is very important that as representatives of the city of Nashville, we stand in unity with others who are being taken advantage of, not just in the ways that we advocate every day on homelessness issues, poverty issues, affordable housing, transit, and all of those, but also our international brothers and sisters, because we are all here and one human race. And so I really appreciate the support of the council tonight, allowing me to suspend the rules, because this is not something that can be delayed. And so I also ask that every member voting in the affirmative tonight be added as a co-prime sponsor, because it is important that we stand in unison and send a message of support to our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, and also to support and recognize that this is not every Russian that is taking a stance against Ukraine either. If you read the language of the resolution, we are also declaring this Thursday, March 3rd, a citywide day of prayer. And so I'd like to invite all of you, fellow council members and everyone in the audience and the general public to join us on the courthouse steps this Thursday morning at 8 o'clock for a prayer gathering. Along with a moment of silence, we will be joined by several other members of the community and the mayor, and just showing our support, not just for peace, but for the people of Ukraine. And so please join me this, again, Thursday the 3rd. It will be a citywide day of prayer, but also the council showing our support. So please put that on your calendars. You'll be getting an email from the council office, assuming we pass this. Thank you all for your support. That you please share on social media to let others know that they are welcome to join us as well. So with that, I renew my motion for approval.
Okay, so Councilmember Murphy has moved to pass the resolution recognizing the Metropolitan Council's support of the people of Ukraine. Councilmember Hancock seconds. Councilmember Hancock, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to thank Councilmember Murphy for helping to draft this resolution. I didn't pay a lot of attention in social studies in school, but in 2014, as my family and I were preparing to move to Bulgaria, we certainly paid attention to the action that was taken in Crimea at the time. That was something that was an active topic of discussion as I served as a political and economics officer in Eastern Europe. And it's something that is every country in Eastern Europe's greatest fear today, the additional encroachment that has happened. On Saturday, I was with my friend Lubomir at Costa Dios, and we just stood there shaking our heads in shock and disappointment in what's happening. And on Sunday, I was consoling my friend Lily, whose parents still live in the Ukraine and are trying to, but unable to right now leave. It's a situation that I'm really glad that our council is embracing and supporting. As you can tell, it's so emotional for everyone. And I'm, barely touched by this. I'm only touched because of the knowledge I have and the people I've met. And for those of you that are there and are fighting, you're amazing. You have a fantastic heart. You're led by an amazing president, and I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hancock. Councilmember Rutherford, your button is not pushed, but if you'd like to say something, you're recognized. I know that there are, if you look at the resolution, there are people in this city that are from Ukraine, and there are people who obviously have friends and family in the Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, this is obviously very, very serious about what's going on. Councilmember Rutherford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have all witnessed, of course, the true horrors and the pain over the last several days, and I think it's very important that we, as a city, stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine and also with the people of Nashville who have ties to Ukraine. And there are several of them, and they have participated in events, including an event at the state capitol just within the last couple of days. And I'd also like to add, as I heard Councilmember Hancock tell of her experience, I have a friend in Germany, in Munich, who was an exchange student my senior year of high school. We've stayed in touch. And his father is elderly and has a male nurse that takes care of him. The male nurse is Ukrainian, and he left to go back to Ukraine to fight for his country. And so that is something that moved me when my friend Alfred told me the story of the male nurse that works for his father. So there are people not only in Ukraine, but people who are outside of Ukraine who are looking to go back, who are Ukrainian to fight for their country. Also, I saw where Ukraine is creating an organization similar to a Foreign Legion, inviting people from other countries to come and help them directly. So it's a very dire situation, obviously, as we all know, but it's extremely important that we show our solidarity. And I appreciate Councilmember Murphy, Councilmember Hancock for bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Mendez.
Thanks. I appreciate everybody who put this resolution together, and it's well worthwhile. I'd be remiss if I didn't add that when we attend the prayer service, keep a little room in some of the prayers for our Somali and Kurdish neighbors who have fled war zones and have families and home villages that continue to be in a war zone a couple decades after they moved here. It's an appropriate resolution for us to have here, but let's keep in mind also the substantial population in Nashville that have fled war zones and still have family there in other parts of the world too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we have a resolution recognizing the Metropolitan Council's support of the people of Ukraine. It was properly moved, properly seconded. We are ready to vote. Oh, Councilmember Van Rees, you're recognized.
Yes, I'd just like to ask all those voting in favor to be included. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody voting in favor of this will be included on the resolution as a sponsor. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Resolution is adopted. Thank you. Councilmember Murphy, if you don't mind, if you would just again announce where the event will be on Thursday morning if people do want to come.
Yes, Vice Mayor. We will be out front of this historic courthouse on the steps, and it will start at 8 a.m. So for the general public, you are welcome to park underneath or nearby. We will be starting at 8 because I know a lot of people have many things going on, but if you're unable to join us at 8 a.m. Thursday morning, please make time throughout the day to pray for peace throughout the world. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Murphy. All right, we are ready to proceed. We are now ready to go to elections and confirmations. Councilmember Vercher is the report from the Rules Committee.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. We have two appointments this evening for the Metro Arts Commission of Ms. Lakeisha Harris for a term expiring February 24th, 2026. The rules recommended approval, 6-4 and 0 against. And also a Metro Arts Commission appointment of Ms. Diana Perez for a term expiring February 24th, 2026. Rules recommended approval, 6-4 and 0 against. There was an appointment for Ms. Campbell West for a term expiring February 24th, 2026. And we recommended a one-meeting deferral, 6-4, 0 against, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Vercher. I'll need a motion to approve the first two.
I've moved for approval.
So Councilmember Vercher has moved for the appointment of Ms. Lakeisha Harris for the Metro Arts Commission and also Ms. Diana Perez for the Metro Arts Commission. Proper motion, proper second. Any discussion on the appointments? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of those two appointments say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. And we will move Ms. Campbell West to the next meeting of the Metro Council. And I believe that's it for the Rules Committee. And if I could get you to stand up when I call your name, Ms. Lakeisha Harris. Ms. Harris, there you are. And Ms. Diana Perez, there you are. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of this. Now, we very much appreciate your willingness to serve. All right, we are now on bills on public hearing. So for those of you in the audience, this is how this works. I will call up the bills one at a time and refer to the sponsor. Unless the sponsor moves to defer the public hearing, the sponsor will call for a public hearing. I will then ask for a show of hands of those who are here in favor of the bill, and then I will ask for a show of hands for those who are in opposition to the bill. If anybody in favor of the measure wishes to speak, I'll let you come forward, come back to that back podium. I'll need your name, address, and then you'll have 2 minutes in which to speak. After the people in favor of the measure speak, then I'll call up the folks who are in opposition to the measure. And then I will go back to the sponsor for further action. All right, so we are ready to go with our first bill. We are, if you have a calendar, at least on my calendar, is on page 2. It is item number 1. It is BL 2021-832 by Council Members Allen, O'Connell, Saguaro, Welsh, Porterfield, and Toombs. It's an ordinance to amend various sections of Title 17 of the Metropolitan Zoning Code to incentivize inclusionary housing with any residential development that seeks additional development entitlements beyond that permitted by the current base zoning district. Councilmember Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for a deferral with a brief explanation.
All right, so Councilmember Allen has moved for deferral for how long?
For 2 meetings, to the first meeting in April.
To the first meeting in April. So the motion is to, we won't have a public hearing tonight. The motion is to defer this one to the first meeting in April. Properly seconded. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This is a fairly complicated bill that I have been working on for a number of months now, working on another tool to help us address affordable housing. And have had some questions come up just about the mechanics and the math and how all the funding works. And again, because it is very complex, I want everybody to be comfortable with it before we move it forward. So with that, we will bring it back in a month and hopefully have all those questions answered and everyone comfortable with it. And then we'll have another tool in our toolbox that incentivizes our private developers to help with the affordable housing, because we've got a lot of nonprofits that are doing a fine job. So with that, I would ask for a 2-meeting deferral.
All right, so Councilmember Allen has moved us to the first meeting in April. That's 2 meetings. It's been properly seconded. That's the motion. Any discussion on the motion to defer? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. This bill will be deferred to the first meeting in April. We're on item number 2, which can be taken with item number 3. It's BL 2021-1001 by Councilmembers Allen and Lee. And item number 3, BL 2021-1002 by Allen and Lee. The 1001 is an ordinance to amend Title 17 by changing from R8 and AR2A to SP zoning for property located at 6103 Mountain View Road, northeast corner of Mountain View Road and Hamilton Church Road. It's 22.18 acres, permit 94 single-family lots. And item number 3 is BL 2021-1002. It's the companion bill. Ordinance to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for BL 2021-1001. Proposed specific plan zoning district located at 6103 Mountain View Road, northeast corner of Mountain View Road and Hamilton Church Road. Again, 22.18 acres. The proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Councilmember Allen, you are recognized on your 2 bills.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I would like to defer to the district council member on these 2 bills.
Councilmember Lee, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I would like to move to defer these indefinitely, both of them, please.
Okay, so the motion is to defer indefinitely, properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Lee?
No, I'm good.
All right, so these, both these bills will be deferred indefinitely, both 2 and 3. Items 2 and 3 on your calendar. Proper motion, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral indefinitely on items 1001 and 1002, say aye. Opposed, no. Both these bills are deferred indefinitely. Thank you, Councilmember Allen and Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 4, BL 2021-1043 by Councilmember Hall. Ordinance to amend Title 17 by change from IR to OL zoning for property located at Jenny Brown Lane, unnumbered south of Ashland City Highway, west of Brawley Parkway at 17.25 acres. Councilmember Hall, you're recognized.
This one will also be indefinitely deferred, Vice Mayor.
Okay, so Councilmember Hall has moved to defer this one indefinitely. No public hearing on this one. Properly seconded. Any discussion on the deferral motion? Seeing none, motion is to defer indefinitely. All those in favor of the motion to defer indefinitely say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. This one's deferred indefinitely as well. We're on item number 5, which can be taken with item number 6. These are by Councilmember Rutherford. Item number 5 is BL 2022-1061. It's an ordinance to amend Title 17 by changing from AR2A to SB zoning for property located at 1465 Old Hickory Boulevard, southern terminus of Harris Hills Lane. It's 81.38 acres to permit 291 single-family residential units. And item number 6, 2022-1062 by Councilmember Rutherford, an ordinance to authorize building material restrictions requirements for BL 2022-1061, proposed specific plan zoning district located at 1465 Old Hickory Boulevard, southern terminus of Harris Hills Lane. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Councilmember Rutherford, recognizing you on both these bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to defer both of these to the first meeting in April.
All right, so Councilmember Rutherford, I've been reminded that you have a substitute ordinance for both. I think it cleans up an address change, something that needs to get corrected.
That is true. Should we go ahead and add that now?
Yeah, I think the feeling is that we should go ahead and get that taken care of before you defer. So if you don't mind withdrawing your motion, let's get the substitute on, get these things corrected, and then you can take a motion to defer.
Certainly. Then I withdraw the motion and move the amendment.
All right. So let's do them one at a time, just make sure we've got them right. We're on BL 2022-1061. Councilmember Rutherford has a substitute ordinance he wants to put on that bill. This is all prior to the public hearing. Councilmember Rutherford has moved the substitute ordinance, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation of the substitute.
And the substitute does essentially what you said it does. It corrects an address.
Okay. You've heard the explanation. Any discussion on the motion to approve the substitute ordinance? Again, it's been moved and properly seconded. We're on the substitute ordinance. All those in favor of the substitute ordinance say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute ordinance is adopted on BL 2022-1061. Can we put the substitute on the next one and then move both of them at the same time? You okay with that, or you want to do them separately? That's fine. All right, so let's go ahead. If you want to defer this, let's go ahead and do this one, and then we'll take up the second one.
Then I move deferral to the first meeting in April.
Okay, so Councilmember Rutherford has now moved BL 2022-1061 as substituted to the first meeting in April, correct?
Correct.
That's the motion to defer, properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion to defer? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to defer to the first meeting in April, say aye. Opposed, no. That motion passes. Now we're on item number 6, BL 2022-1062. I've already read the caption. Councilmember Rutherford, you're on your bill for to look at the substitute ordinance.
And I move the substitute.
Councilmember Rutherford has moved the substitute on this one, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation of the substitute.
Same thing. It corrects an address.
Okay. So Councilmember Rutherford has moved a substitute on BL 2022-1062, properly seconded. Any discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor of the substitute say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute's passed. Now you're on your bill as substituted.
Move to the first meeting in April.
Okay. So Councilmember Rutherford has moved BL 2022-1062 as substituted to the first meeting in April, properly seconded. Any discussion on the deferral motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral motion say aye. Opposed, no. Deferral motion is adopted. Thank you, Councilmember Rutherford. We are now on item number 7, BL 2022-1067 by Councilmember Hall. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by changing from AR2A and SP to RM4 zoning for properties located at 4539 and 4608 Cato Road and Cato Road unnumbered, Ashland City Highway unnumbered. It's approximately 1,000 feet west of Amy Lynn Drive. It's 290.14 acres. Councilmember Hall, you recognized on your bill, and this is a disapproved bill. Councilmember Hall.
This one also be deferred indefinitely. I needed to go with the other, so we're going to defer this one indefinitely also.
Okay, so I don't think we need to see the slides if he's deferring indefinitely. So Councilmember Hall has moved to defer this bill indefinitely, properly seconded. Councilmember Van Rees, you recognized on the deferral motion.
Yes, sir. I just know that we received about 100 emails on this, and there are a lot of people in the audience for a public hearing, and I'd just like you to make sure and explain to those present what next steps are. Thank you.
Certainly. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know there are people in the back that were here on this bill. Councilmember Hall has moved to defer this bill indefinitely prior to the public hearing. There will be no public hearing on this bill tonight. The motion to defer indefinitely, which has a second, if it passes, simply means that the bill is deferred indefinitely. It can be brought back at the request of the sponsor at any time. It can't be, it will have to be brought back to have a public hearing. No public hearing tonight. It's simply deferred indefinitely. It doesn't mean it goes away. It can be called back. It's just not going to be heard tonight. It would have to be a notice to the clerk that would have to put it back on notice, and then once again, it could come up for a public hearing. Councilmember Van Rees, does that help? Councilmember Van Rees.
No, I appreciate that. Will the neighbors receive an additional notice if that comes up?
I'm going to go to the planning department to make sure we've got this one. Yep, Ms. Milligan.
Hi, yes, new notices would be mailed consistent with the requirements of the code, and new public notification signs would also be posted in advance of any public hearing.
Okay. All right. Any other questions regarding this one? We've got a motion to defer indefinitely, and this is Bill 2022-1067. Okay, seeing none, we're on the motion to defer indefinitely. All those in favor of the motion to defer indefinitely say aye. Opposed, no. This measure is deferred indefinitely. Okay. We are now ready for item number 8. This is BL 2022-1083 by Council Members Sledge and O'Connell. It can be taken with item number 9, BL 2022-1084. BL 2022-1083, ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by applying an historic landmark overlay district to a portion of the property located at 915 Kirkwood Avenue, southwest corner of Kirkwood Avenue and Craig Avenue, zoned R8.55 acres. And the companion bill 1084, this is to an ordinance to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for 1083, proposed historic landmark overlay district to include a portion of the property located at 915 Kirkwood Avenue, southwest corner of Kirkwood Avenue and Craig Avenue. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Councilmember Sledge, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, so we're taking up both bills. It's 1083 and 1084. I declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are in favor of these two measures. I see a gentleman way in the back. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to these measures. I think we only got one person in favor, and he apparently doesn't want to speak. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Sledge, you're recognized on your two bills.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move approval.
Okay. Councilmember Sledge has moved approval on both 1083 and 1084, properly seconded. Any discussion on these two measures? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of 1083 and 1084 on second reading say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You adopt. 1083 and 1084 pass on second reading. We're on items number 10 and 11 by Councilmember Evans. BL 2022-1085, ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by changing from CS to SP zoning for property located at 5772 Old Hickory Boulevard, approximately 300 feet south of Central Pike, 2.58 acres, located within a commercial plan unit development overlay district, permit 152-unit multifamily development. And then 1086 is the companion bill authorizing building material restrictions and requirements for the first bill. Proposed specific plan zoning district located at 5772 Old Hickory Boulevard. It's approximately 300 feet south of Central Pike. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Councilmember Evans, you are recognized.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay, so I'm opening up the public hearing on 1085 and 1086. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of those measures. Okay, thank you. Show of hands of those who are in opposition to the measures. I didn't see anybody in opposition. Would you like to speak? Those in favor? Sure, come on up. Welcome to the council. Need a name, address, and then you'll have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Yes, good evening, Vice Mayor and members of the council. My name is Brandon Smith. My address is 320 North 675 East in North Salt Lake, Utah. I am the applicant and the developer for this project. And, we are a conversion developer all across the country. We convert hotels to apartments. And I have to say, after attending a lot of council meetings all over the country, after seeing the marching band here, you guys really know how to open a meeting, so good work. We're very excited about this project. Hermitage is a fantastic community. We've worked very closely with the neighbors, Aaron Evans and everyone, and I think we've designed a really nice project that should fit in well with the neighborhood and be a good attainable housing resource. So thanks, and I look forward to hearing what other input that might be out there for this.
And Mr. Smith, we always have a marching band to start the meeting.
I'll have to come back.
All right. Anybody else wishing to speak? All right, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Evans, you're recognized on your 2 bills.
Thank you. I'd like to move approval, please.
All right, so Councilmember Evans has moved approval on Bill 2022-1085 and 1086, properly seconded. Any discussion on the 2 bills? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of 1085 and 1086 for passage on second reading say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You adopt on second reading. Thank you, Councilmember Evans. You've got the next one. Item number 12, BL 2022-1087. It's an ordinance to amend Title 17 by canceling a portion of a planned unit development overlay district on property located at 5772 Old Hickory Boulevard. It's approximately 250 feet south of Central Pike, Zone CS, 2.58 acres. Councilmember Evans, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. I didn't see hands either way. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Evans, you're on your bill.
Thank you. This is part of the same project that Mr. Smith just spoke in favor of on Central Pike, and I'd like to move approval. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Evans has moved approval of 1087 for passage on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, all those in favor of BL 2022-1087 for passage on second reading say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You adopt on second reading. Thank you, Councilmember Evans. We are now on BL 2022-1088 by Councilmember Allen. This is an ordinance to amend sections 2.80, .080, 17.28.100, and 17.40.010 of the Metropolitan Code regarding the design and operation of outdoor electrical lighting to reduce light pollution consistent with International Dark Sky Association guidelines. Authorize the Board of Fire and Building Codes to grant variances from these provisions. Councilmember Allen, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. A show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. I don't see any hands up anywhere. Councilmember Allen, declare the public hearing closed.
All right, thank you.
You're on your bill.
I'd like to move approval with a brief explanation.
All right, so Councilmember Allen has moved approval of Bill 2022-1088 for passage on second reading. Properly seconded. Back to you.
Thank you. This is actually just kind of a technical adjustment to the dark sky bill that we passed not too long ago to preserve the night skies so these Boy Scouts can see the stars from inside Nashville. And it simply changes the appeal process from the BZA to the Board of Fire and Codes appeal. And also there's a technical change about light trespass. So with that, I would renew my request for approval. Renew my motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilmember Allen. So you have renewed your motion on BL 2022-1088 for passage on second reading. Again, it was properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2022-1088 for passage on second reading say aye. Opposed, no. Let's try that again. Passage on second reading, Bill 2022-1088 for passage on second reading. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Bill passes on second reading. Thank you. Item number 14, BL 2022-1090 by Councilmember Sledge. Ordinance to amend section 17.40.720 and 17.40.740 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to increase the number of fee waivers for certain rezoning requests initiated by a member of council. Councilmember Sledge, I think this one has to be deferred by rule. Is that right?
Yes, I was actually going to ask for it to be deferred to the public hearing in May, if that's possible.
In May. So this one is going to be, do we need a motion on that, you think? It's typically deferred by rule. We'll do it by motion.
Okay.
You want to move it to?
Yes,
The motion is to defer to the first meeting in May?
Absolutely. Mhm.
Okay. Properly seconded. Any discussion on the deferral motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral to the first meeting in May say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is deferred to the first meeting in May. The Boy Scouts are now leaving us, so there goes most of our audience. Thank you all for being here. Yeah. They were waiting for that International Dark Skies bill. Is that what they were doing? Okay. Item number 15, BL 2022-1098 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by changing from CL to SP zoning for property located 2306 Brick Church Pike, southeast corner of Hampton Street and Avondale Circle, 1.36 acres, permit 95 multifamily units. Councilmember Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Request to open a public hearing.
All right. Declare the public hearing open. A show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. I see some hands way in the back. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. I don't see anybody in opposition. Those in favor wish to speak? All right. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized on your bill.
Move for approval.
Okay. Councilmember Toombs has moved for approval of BL 2022-1098 for passage on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? All those in favor of BL 2022-1098 for passage on second reading say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. I've got Councilmember O'Connell, BL 2022-1099. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 by changing from CSIR and OR 20 to SP zoning for properties located 1114, 1116, 1118, 1120 Fifth Avenue North, 407, 409, and 411 Madison Street, 1117, 1119, 1121, and 1123 4th Avenue North, and 416 Jefferson Street, northwest corner of 4th Avenue North and Jefferson Street. It's approximately 3 acres and within the Germantown Historic Preservation District and the Phillips Jackson Street Redevelopment District. Permit a mixed-use development. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. A show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. All right, thank you. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. Didn't see anybody in opposition. Those in favor wish to speak. All right, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember O'Connell, you're on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move approval.
Councilmember O'Connell moves approval of BL 2022-1099 for passage on second reading. Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the bill say aye. Opposed, no. BL 2022-1099 passes on second reading. Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. We're now on items 17 and 18. These are Councilmember Rosenberg's. They can be taken together. BL 2022-1100 and 2022-1101. First one is an ordinance to amend Title 17 by amending a specific plan for properties located at 5754 River Road and River Road unnumbered, approximately 750 feet west of Charlotte Pike. Zone SP R40 and R80, 16.47 acres, to add 5.9 acres to the SP and permit 160 multifamily residential units. And then 1101, which is the companion bill, authorizing building material restrictions requirements for BL 2022-1100, proposed specific plan zoning district located at 5754 River Road and River Road unnumbered, approximately 750 feet west of Charlotte Pike, zone SP R40 and R80, 16.47 acres. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized on both those bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
So Councilman Rosenberg has moved to open the public hearing. So declare the public hearing open. A show of hands of all those who are here in favor of those two measures. Okay. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to those two measures. Didn't see anybody in opposition. Those in favor wish to speak? Nope. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilman Rosenberg, you're on your two bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move approval of both, please.
I got a motion to approve both 1100 and 1101 on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion on the measures? Seeing none, all those in favor of BL 2022-1100 and 1101 say aye. Opposed, no. Both those measures pass on second reading. I do need to announce that we had a number of members who are out today for various reasons, so please stay in your seats if possible, all right? We're on item number 19, BL 2022-1102 by Councilmember Syracuse. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by canceling a portion of a planned unit development overlay district property located at 713 Ermac Drive. It's on ORI 4.94 acres. Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Open the public hearing, please.
Declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of 1102. Got a hand in the back. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to 1102. Seeing nobody in opposition, would you like to speak? Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Syracuse, you're on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move approval.
Councilmember Syracuse has moved for approval on second reading of BL 2022-1102. Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. 1102 on second reading. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We're on item number 20. This is on page 10 of my calendar. BL 2022-1103 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 by changing from R8 to RM40 ANS zoning for property located at 2122 Buena Vista Pike. It's approximately 350 feet northeast of Risha Lane, 1.68 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Request to open a public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. A show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. All right, thank you. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Don't see anybody in opposition. Those in favor wish to speak? Nope. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized on your bill.
Move for approval.
Councilmember Toombs moved for approval of 1103 on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, all those in favor of BL 2022-1103 for passage on second reading say aye. Opposed, no. Bill passes on second reading. We're on BL 2022-1104 by Councilmember O'Connell. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from R6A to RM15 ANS zoning for properties located at 1401 and 1403 Hawkins Street, corner of Hawkins Street and 14th Avenue South. It's .44 acres. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
Declare the public hearing open. We're on BL 2022-1104. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of the measure. All right. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing no one in opposition, those in favor wish to speak? Nope. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember O'Connell, be recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move approval.
Councilmember O'Connell has moved approval of BL 2022-1104 for passage on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, ready to vote. All those in favor of 2022-1104 on second reading say aye. Opposed, no. Bill passes on second reading. We're on items 22 and 23. These are by Councilmember Welsh. We can take these together. 1105, ordinance to amend Title 17 by changing from RS 7.5 to SP zoning for property located at Tuggle Avenue, a numbered eastern terminus of Morton Avenue is 1.64 acres to permit 8 multifamily residential units. And the companion bill, BL 2022-1106, ordinance to authorize building material restrictions requirements for BL 2022-1105, proposed specific plan zoning district located at Tuggle Avenue, unnumbered eastern terminus of Morton Avenue is 1.64 acres. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of building. Councilmember Welsh, you're recognized on your two bills.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open on both 1105 and 1106. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of those two measures. Okay. Show of hands of those who are in opposition to the two measures. Don't see anybody in opposition. Those in favor wish to speak. You all look pretty comfortable way in the back. Not coming up here. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Welsh, you're on your two bills.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval of both bills, please.
All right, Councilmember Welsh has moved approval of both 1105 and 1106 on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the two bills say aye. Opposed, no. 2022-1105 and 1106 pass on second reading. We are now on BL 2022-1107. Councilmember Roberts is not here. Has anybody signed on to this bill? Okay. Anybody sign on to this one? Councilmember Weathers?
I was going to say, I'd be willing to sign on to it as the planning committee chair. I know we do have a gentleman that was here to speak on the item, I believe. Yeah.
So, Ms. Hayes, we are on Councilmember Roberts' bill, and I think you mentioned that she was not going to be here. Did she want us to proceed? She wanted to defer, okay? So is there someone here on the bill? All right, so the council member is the only one who has signed on to the bill, and she has requested deferral. So we would honor the council member's wishes, so I'm sorry that you came, okay? It's an automatic deferral because Councilmember Roberts is not here, okay? So it'll show back up at the first meeting in April, right? All right, so 1107 is deferred to the first meeting in April. We're now on BL 2022-1108 by Councilmember Hager and also 1109. Councilmember Hager is also not here. Has someone signed on to his bill? Councilmember Roten has signed on. All right, so Councilmember Roten is going to take this one. Let's see, 1108, ordinance to amend Title 17 by change from RS5 to SP zoning for property located at 3005 Lakeshore Drive, approximately 85 feet east of 32nd Street. It's 0.68 acres to permit a detached two-family residential unit. And item number 26 is the companion bill. Authorized building material restriction requirements, a proposed specific plan zoning district located at 3005 Lakeshore Drive, approximately 85 feet east of 32nd Street. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials restricting the construction of building. Councilmember Roten, you're recognized on those two bills.
Move to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of those two measures. Thank you. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to those two measures. Don't see anybody in opposition. Ma'am, would you like to speak? No? Okay. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Roten, you're recognized on your bill.
Move approval, please.
Okay, so Councilmember Roten has moved approval of 1108 and 1109 for passage on second reading. Properly seconded. Any discussion on the two bills? Seeing none, all those in favor of 1108 and 1109 for passage on second reading say aye. Opposed, no. Both those bills pass. We're on BL 2022-1110 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by changing from R10 to RM15A zoning for property located at 2106 Courtney Avenue. It's approximately 150 feet east of Clarksville Pike. It's 0.4 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Request to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. A show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. Thank you. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. Don't see anybody in opposition. Sir, would you like to speak? All right, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Toombs, recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move the substitute.
Okay, so Councilmember Toombs has a substitute on BL 2022-1110. Councilmember Toombs has moved the substitute, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation of the substitute.
It adds the NS designation to approve a short-term rental.
All right, any questions about the substitute? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on the substitute. All those in favor of the substitute say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute's adopted. You're on your bill as substituted.
Move for approval as substituted.
Councilmember Toombs has moved for BL 2022-1110 as substitute for passage on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill as substituted? Seeing none, all those in favor of BL 2022-1110 as substituted say aye. Opposed, no. BL 2022-1110 as substitute passes on second reading. And we're on item number 28. This is by Councilmember Sepulveda. BL 2022-1111, ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by change from OL to MULA-NS zoning for property located at 339 Wallace Road. It's approximately 210 feet west of Hopedale Drive. It's 2.17 acres. Councilmember Sepulveda, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. A show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. All right, thank you. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. Don't see anybody in opposition. Those in favor wish to speak? Okay, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Sepulveda, you're on your bill.
Move for approval.
Councilmember Sepulveda has moved for approval of BL 2022-1111 for passage on second reading, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the bill for passage on second reading say aye. Opposed, no. Bill passes on second reading. All right, we are now ready for the consent calendar.
All right, we are on the consent agenda. Here are the resolutions on consent. RS 2022-1397, 1398, 1400, 1401, 1403, 1404, 1405, 1406, 1409, 1410, 1411, 1412, 1413, and 1414. Do any of those need to come off? Okay, here we go. RS 2022-1397, a resolution accepting an adult drug court and veterans treatment court discretionary program grant for the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the General Sessions Court to implement a DUI court to serve participants convicted of a misdemeanor DUI offense. RS 22-1398, Vircher and Pulley, a resolution approving the election of certain notaries public for Davidson County. RS 2022-1400 by Sepulveda, Allen, Withers, and Bradford, a resolution approving an option agreement between the Metropolitan government of Nashville and Davidson County and James and Edith McClendon, authorizing the purchase of certain parcels of property owned by the McClendons at 0 Tusculum Road, and 0 Bart Drive. RS 2022-1401 by Allen and Bradford, a resolution accepting an in-kind grant from the Centennial Park Conservancy to the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to fund the restoration of the Parthenon marble casts in the Treasury Room. RS 2022-1403 by Allen, Evans, and Welsh, a resolution approving a grant by and between the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health and Nurture the Next to provide funding for a program coordinator for the Collective Impact Initiative, ACE Nashville. RS 2022-1404 by Allen and Evans, a resolution to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for the MNPD to provide qualified officers and assist the TBI in drug overdose investigations. RS 2022-1405 by Allen, Evans, and Hancock, a resolution accepting a Paul Coverdale Forensic Science Improvement Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Metro Nashville Police Department to increase the toxicology unit's capacity to process cases more efficiently, reducing turnaround time and backlogs. RS 2022-1406 by Allen, Evans, and Hancock, a resolution accepting a DNA capacity enhancement for backlog reduction program grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to assist the forensic biology unit in outsourcing case sample analysis and purchase equipment to streamline DNA interpretation. RS 2022-1409 by Allen and Evans, a resolution approving an application for a hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metropolitan government, acting by and through the Office of Emergency Management to provide resources to procure items, training, and/or equipment for hazardous material preparedness. RS 2022-1410 by Parker, Withers, Allen, and Young, A resolution approving Amendment 1 to Agreement 210258 by and between the State of Tennessee, Department of Transportation, and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and between the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure for the acceptance of work in connection with the early acquisition of right-of-way of 6 parcels for Phase 1 North-South Arterial Boulevard between Spring Street and Woodland Street. RS 2022-1411 by Allen, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Dorothy Wyatt against the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County in the amount of $50,000, with said amount to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. RS 2022-1412, a resolution to approve a memorandum of understanding by and between the Metropolitan Planning Department and the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency to advance the planning and reconstruction of certain areas of downtown Nashville damaged by the December 2020 bombing. That's O'Connell, Allen, and Withers. RS 2022-1413 by Roberts and Rosenberg, a resolution recognizing Blue Moon Waterfront Grill as it celebrates its 10th anniversary. And RS 2022-1414, a resolution urging the Tennessee General Assembly to enact HB 204 SB 136, the Crown Act. Anybody need to pull anything? All right. Budget and Finance, Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Budget and Finance considered RS 2022-1397, 1400, 1401, 1403, 1404, 1405, 1406, 1409, 1410, 1411, and 1412, and approved all of those, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Planning and Zoning, Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. The Planning and Zoning Committee met and we considered RS 2022-1400, 1410, 1412. We recommended approval of all of those, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstention.
Thank you, Councilmember. Public Facilities, Arts and Culture, Councilmember Bradford.
Yes, Public Facilities, Arts and Culture, we discussed 1400 and 1401, and we voted 5 in favor, 9 against on both of them for approval.
Thank you, Councilmember. Public Health and Safety, Councilmember Evans.
Thank you. We considered 1403, 1404, 1405, 1406, and 1409, and voted 6 in favor, 0 against on all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections, Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On RS 2022-1398 and RS 22-1413, rules recommended approval, 6-4-0 against. And on RS 2022-1414, we recommended approval, 7-4-0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Transportation Infrastructure, Councilmember Young.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. The Transportation Infrastructure Committee recommended approval of RS 2022-1410, 11 in favor, 0 against. And I will move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Consent agenda is moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. We are on RS 2022-1398. Wait, that was on the consent agenda. Thank you. RS 2022-1399 by Allen, Withers, Toombs, Parker, and O'Connell. A resolution declaring surplus and approving the disposition of certain parcels of real property in accordance with Section 2.24.250G of the Metropolitan Code of Laws. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Committee reports.
Budget and Finance.
Budget and Finance recommended a 1-meeting deferral, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Withers, Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Planning and Zoning recommended approval, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. If I might just check with Councilmember Sledge. I believe this was the one where he was going to, I'll address you, but if Councilmember Sledge could respond about the piece of property in question, I think we agreed to defer so that he could ask a question about that. Can I confirm that?
Okay. Councilmember Sledge?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. There's a property that's in District 17 that I have actually already requested of the council office to amend and take out if we are to defer this tonight, which I think we're deferring by rule anyway, but yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. With that, I renew my motion to defer one meeting.
All right, it's deferred by rule. RS 2022, are we on 1400? Where's my consent? Lost my list of, there it is. Okay, thank you. RS 2022-1402 by Allen, Welsh, and Evans, a resolution approving a grant contract between the Metropolitan government acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health and the Mental Health Cooperative to provide outreach, assessment, and linkage to care for individuals identified as part of the opioid overdose response program. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Budget and Finance.
Okay, I'll begin. Budget and Finance considered and recommended approval, 8 in favor, 1 not voting. Councilmember Hurt needed to abstain.
Got it. Thank you. Councilmember Evans, Public Health and Safety.
We considered 1402 and passed it in favor, 6 in favor, 0 against.
Got it. Councilmember Allen.
Move approval.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilmember Hurt, do you need to abstain?
1402, that's the one.
Okay. Councilmember Hurt abstains. And the motion passes. RS 2022-1407 by Allen and Evans, a resolution accepting a donation of an untrained police dog from the Cornerstone Church for the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to utilize in patrol, tracking, or the detection of explosives or narcotics. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Did I call you Vice Mayor? Committee reports, please.
Budget and Finance.
Budget and Finance recommended approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen's Public Health and Safety.
Public Health and Safety recommended approval, 6 in favor, 1 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen.
Move approval.
Okay. Any discussion? Councilmember Van Rees.
Yes, in committee, I just asked for clarification that this is in the form of a grant and wanted to kind of make sure that I understood that the funds being donated are specifically restricted to the use of the animal. Is that correct?
Jameson?
That is correct. It's technically a donation, not a grant, and grants approved by the council cannot be reapplied for other purposes. This is not a fungible monetary donation. It's an actual, the dog itself. So I don't know that could be turned into anything else, but I'll see.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that clarification.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Hurt?
I was just wondering if I could donate my dog. I mean, you're my council member, so you understand why I'm asking.
Yes. I think some of your neighbors signed on to that. Okay. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor? Opposed? No. Hey, Austin, I'm a no. Thanks. All right, RS 2022-1408 by Allen and Evans, a resolution accepting a donation from the Adderhorst International to the Metropolitan Police Department of training course for 2 MNPD K9 unit trainers. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Committee reports.
It's you.
Budget and Finance recommended approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Evans.
We considered this one and recommended approval, 6 in favor, 1 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen.
Move approval.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Councilmember Evans. All right, motion passes. RS 2022, that's it for resolutions. And that's it for resolutions. All right.
All right, so we have a couple of late filed resolutions. Make sure I've got them. All right, we've got, I think we've got 3 late filed resolutions. The first one is, it's a resolution approving a grant memorandum of understanding from the National League of Cities to the Metropolitan Government, acting by through the Office of Mayor to participate in the Southern Cities Economic Inclusion Initiative to help cities implement economic inclusion strategies that close racial and economic equity gaps. Councilmember Allen, are you the lead sponsor on this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Councilmember Allen, you're recognized on this late file resolution.
Committee reports, please.
And I believe, first of all, because it's,
I have to ask for a suspension of the
I
rules.
think you have to ask for suspension of rules. Councilmember Vercher, did this one come before you guys?
It did, Vice Mayor.
Okay. Did it?
No objections.
No objection. Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so Councilmember Allen is moving to suspend the rules to get this late file resolution before the body. Any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing none, rules are suspended. Councilmember Allen, you're on your late file
Thank you,
resolution.
Mr. Vice Mayor. I would like to move for approval with a brief explanation.
All right, so Councilmember Allen has moved for approval of this late file resolution regarding the National League of Cities and this MOU with the Metropolitan Government. Properly seconded, back to you.
Thank you. This is exciting. Nashville competed and was one of 16 cities that was selected by the National League of Cities to participate in this economic inclusion and resilience cohort, and we'll be focusing specifically on North Nashville and Southeast Nashville, small business development and resiliency. Director Pogue of the Economic Development Division is excited about this, and I just ask for people to vote approval. Thank you.
All right, you've heard an explanation of the resolution. It's been properly seconded. Any questions, any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution say aye. Opposed, no. Resolution is adopted. Okay, now we go to the next one. This one is by Councilmember Allen. This one is on your packet. This is a resolution setting up procedures for a pre-budget public comment period. Councilmember Allen, again, you're recognized on your late file resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I need to ask for a suspension of the rules.
Okay, Councilmember Vercher, this one come before the Rules Committee?
Yes, Vice Mayor, it did. No objections.
Okay. Councilmember Allen is asking for this to be considered for a suspension of rules to get this before the body tonight. Any objections to suspending the rules? No objections. Rules are suspended. Councilmember Allen, you're on your resolution.
Thank you. I appreciate my colleagues giving me the opportunity to talk about this. I would like to move for approval with a brief explanation.
All right. Councilmember Allen has moved for approval of this late file resolution, properly seconded. Back to you.
Thank you. What this does is set up a procedure for a public comment period for the council to have an additional opportunity to get public input on budget priorities. This is, in a perfect world, we would have done this in January, but we weren't meeting in person that much in January. And so at this point, we hope that we can perhaps set up this opportunity and we can improve on it next year and make it happen in January earlier in the process. Regardless, the charter requires that we have a public hearing on the budget in May, shortly after the budget, after the budget is officially issued, and then we have a very short turnaround time after that public hearing, when we hear the public's comments on the budget, to actually turn that into our substitute budget to react to that. So this offers an opportunity for people to speak broadly in terms of budget priorities. There will not be an actual budget to talk about. They will be talking about last year's budget and how they wish this year's budget might be different. They will be speaking to the council, not to the mayor's office. They have their own process for putting the budget together. They have asked the departments to work on priorities based on what we've heard from the community already. But you can't offer too many opportunities for the community to communicate. So we have devised this to be different from the public hearing. It would fall on a regular public comment, second Tuesday of the month, and we would limit that time to 2 hours. We would limit people to 2 minutes, which is what they already have, but also limit organizations to 10 minutes to ensure that a number of different groups have the opportunity to speak. There would be a sign-up procedure, and if too many people sign up, there would be a waiting list so that hopefully people could do that. So this resolution spells out that procedure so that we know exactly what we're dealing with, and hopefully gives us an opportunity, again, just to allow the community to express what's important to them in the budget, so that we then have more than a short amount of time to react as a council as we make our adjustments to the budget that will be presented to us in May. So with that, I move for approval.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Allen. I've got a couple people in the queue. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. So with apologies, this would normally be something that I would have asked during committee, but it was late filed and didn't think of it yesterday. With it being a new process, with it being extremely short notice that people have to sign up by a week from today, I guess I find myself wondering, how hard are we as a city leaning into getting word of this out? Is the mayor's office, who's got the biggest platform, going to use their social media channels to get this out and immediately tomorrow morning, and a couple reminders before the deadline to sign up? And what's the council office doing? I'm just interested in hearing that there's a robust communications game plan that we're about to implement in 12 hours tomorrow morning.
Councilmember Allen.
Thank you. I'll speak to that. I woke up in the middle of the night and thought March 8th is not the date that this is set for. So now I understand the question you were asking earlier. We have said that they need to sign up by Thursday. Is that correct? Is Tuesday, March 8th is the deadline to do sign-ups?
Sign up.
So that is exactly 1 week from today.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So this is not the mayor's process, and I don't know that it's appropriate for us to ask the mayor's platform to spread it, but I believe that every council member in this room has an effective platform, and that it would be incumbent on us to spread that word. And I expect that we all, some of us are sitting here as we speak, typing about what's going on here. So no, I do not intend to ask the mayor's office. I intend to ask the council to do this because this is the council's public hearing.
All right,
And
Councilmember Mendez.
I would encourage my colleagues to do that.
Councilmember Mendez.
I appreciate that response. I guess let me ask the mayor's office whether they're willing to, I mean, you can call it the council's effort, but y'all have about a gazillion times better communication platform than we do. Well, they've got more full-time employees than we do.
Mr. Jameson.
I don't know about a gazillion, but I will certainly ask our team if they can work with Council Lady Allen and put out any messaging that the sponsor would like us to put out.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Mendez, anything else? Okay. Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I guess I have mixed feelings on this from a standpoint of one, as the sponsor mentioned, this being probably a little later in the timeline than it should be to be useful. But then also, I think back to the budget hearing and when we were virtual and it went on for many, many hours, and what it ended up being was some of the loudest voices got organized, and a lot of the everyday singular folks maybe didn't feel like they had that opportunity to get heard. I just don't know that that's part of our job as especially as district council members, and I get the sponsor being at large, but is for the public to be reaching and talking to us all throughout the year on what our priorities should be. And I guess I'm hesitant because I think we run the risk of setting ourselves up to look like we're not listening by having a public hearing and then that's earlier on than second reading, but still those things maybe not being incorporated because it is further along in the budget process. I guess I struggle with this one because I don't want us to look like we are sort of appeasing people to say, oh yes, come speak and come be a part of this process, but then folks not feel like they were afterwards. And so that's I struggle with this. I'm going to vote in favor of it, but I do think those are some concerns worth mentioning as we move forward, and maybe, like the sponsor mentioned, doing this much earlier on in the process next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vercher, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor, and I'd like to applaud the chair. Having been chair, I do understand the intent. My challenge is being able to and I always go back to this, being able to solicit this to my district. One, that is over a period during spring break for many families. Two, many in this body probably won't even be at that next meeting when we're supposed to be listening to the audience. So I applaud the chair for the effort, and I understand the intent for trying to increase participation in our budgetary process. But as many of us are aware, the charter really dictates our timelines, and promoting a public hearing to many working families during spring break. I don't know if there's a real benefit for us, because we won't be hearing from the people that we really need to hear from. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Evans, you're recognized.
I just wanted to speak in support of this idea because, first of all, it's the first time that we're having interest in doing this, and I think it's great to try to incorporate more people into the process. And so I feel like it's iterative, like let's start with something and then next year do a better job. So I'm going to support it tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Evans. That's it in the queue. Anybody else? Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. If I can just reiterate, this would not replace the actual budget hearing process. That's required by charter, and we will do that as planned. This is simply an additional opportunity. Just wanted to clarify.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hart.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I basically made similar comments yesterday as one of my colleagues, Councilmember Young, made, because I don't want it to seem as though we have some unrealistic expectations put on our constituents to have them think that they are truly going to make a difference. And I just happen to be one of those individuals that just tell it like it is, as opposed to trying to sugarcoat it and make it seem like it's something that it really isn't. And I do applaud the effort and the intent of wanting to include the community, because that has been something that I've been very concerned about, is the lack of community input. So having said all of that, I hope that when we do these type of things, that we come from a place of sincerity, and our administration will truly hear the voices of the people, and it is reflected in the decisions that are ultimately made by this council and supported by the administration.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anybody else? All right, we are voting on a late file resolution, which is the rules have been suspended, so we're properly before it. Resolution ending at procedures for a pre-budget public comment period. Ready to vote? All those in, we'll do it by voice vote first. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, we're going to be on the board. Mr. Clerk? Ready? All right. Hold on, before we get on the board, Councilmember Hancock, point of order.
My system isn't working, so you didn't see my hand raised.
Sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'd like to clarify.
Okay, so we are not, we don't have it on the board yet. Councilmember Hancock has a question. Councilmember Hancock, you're recognized.
And so I would just like to clarify, this is to vote in favor for a public hearing to be held on the 15th, but they would have to register by the 8th. Is that correct?
It's during public comment period. So I believe it's a 2-hour window during the public comment period on March the 15th. We have a public comment period during that period of time.
It would just extend
This
the
would
public
turn it
comment
into a comment period on the budget. And people would have to register by the 8th. Did I say all that right? Okay.
During spring break. Okay, just clarifying. Thank you.
All right. All right. Anybody else with any questions? We're getting ready to go on the board. Once we go on the board, I can't answer any more questions. All right. Mr. Clerk, if you would, we are ready to vote. Go ahead and open up the machines. We're voting on a late file resolution by Councilmember Allen about a pre-budget public comment period. Councilor Rutherford, are you having trouble voting? Anybody else having trouble voting? Oh, okay. Mr. Clerk, all votes in? Okay. Close machines, take the vote. Ayes 29, 2 noes. The bill passes, resolution passes. Thank you. Okay. We have one last resolution that's late filed. This is by Councilmember Evans. It's a resolution in support of life-saving responses to the recent escalating overdoses, largely caused by the widespread availability of synthetic illicit drugs. Councilmember Evans, you're recognized.
Thank you. I need to suspend the rules, please.
All right. Councilmember Vercher, you all were busy in rules. This one got before you all?
It did, Vice Mayor, and there were no objections.
All right. So Councilmember Evans has moved to suspend the rules to get this resolution before us tonight. Again, a resolution in support of life-saving responses to the recent escalating overdoses, largely caused by the widespread availability of synthetic illicit drugs. Councilmember Evans moving to suspend the rules. Is there any objection to suspension of rules to get this before us tonight? Seeing none, rules are suspended. Councilmember Evans, you're on your resolution.
Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor. So this resolution, the purpose for bringing it forward and also for filing it late is I met with the administration and we decided to move forward with it right after we had set the date for the special called meeting on overdoses and addiction. That'll be on March the 10th. So we missed the date to submit on time by a day. And so we opted to move forward though because what this resolution is doing is essentially making a statement that this is an important issue that we need to amplify in the community as a council body, and also dovetails really well with the opioid settlement funding information that came out last week, and also with the public meeting that will be coming up. And so I would recommend your support tonight. Thank you.
All All right, so Councilmember Evans has moved for passage of a late file resolution regarding life-saving responses on the overdoses. Councilmember, I'm looking at some of this stuff. Did this happen to come through public safety?
Oh, it did, yes. I can give you, we voted in favor, 7 in favor, 0 against.
All right, and Councilmember Allen, I'm going to come back to you on the other resolutions because I think budget may have picked up the other ones, and I probably just need, for purposes of it, to get the committee reports. But I'll come back to you after we get through with this one. All right, so the Councilmember Evans has moved passage of this late file resolution regarding these life-saving responses. It passed public safety. Properly seconded on a resolution. Councilmember Evans has moved for approval. Any discussion, any questions regarding the resolution? Yeah, Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
I need just a little bit more explanation on what expecting the resolution to do, considering that the work that I do every day addresses some of these issues. And while I do know that there is a great increase in overdoses and fatalities as we have been dealing with the pandemic, and one of my staff members actually had to use Narcan 6 times on site to bring someone back. And that is almost a daily activity for the work that we do. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't do anything that would be in conflict, but also want to make sure that if this is something in support, I definitely want to agree with that. But I also want to say that any type of epidemic problem that we have, as with the opioid and crack cocaine, all of those things, I think we need to make sure that we share the same type of interest and safety measures and harm reduction solutions as we do for them all, and
all right,
not just individual.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Hurt. I'm going to go back to Councilmember Evans for an explanation, basically answering Councilmember Hurt's question.
Right, so, and I know, Councilwoman Hurt, you have a lot of experience in this area. So specifically with this resolution, the goal is to make a statement that this is a significant problem in our county. The Drug Overdose Response Unit is a very small team in Metro Health. It's less than 6 people. And so back prior to the holidays, I had met with the Drug Overdose Response Team specifically to talk about overdoses in our community, drill down into some of the data about overdoses, talk more about fentanyl in particular, naloxone, and some of the things that were occurring in our county, and had sent out the information to the council and also to the committee to encourage people to go and talk to the Drug Overdose Response Unit directly about their districts. Unfortunately, people have not been able to make that connection. Because of the opioid settlement that has come down from through the state of Tennessee, we will be receiving funding for linkage and treatment and detox options, and Dia Cirillo in the mayor's office was instrumental in putting this together, and she is not here to speak more specifically to some of those things. So I understand if you need to abstain because you want to make sure there's nothing in conflict with the work that you do, but that's really the goal, is to have the statement, have the public council meeting with those experts to come in and talk about addiction, fentanyl, what else Metro Health is seeing in terms of drugs that are coming from East Tennessee, and also talk about naloxone and how that message should be communicated more broadly in the county.
Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you. I would agree. The problem, one of the problems is that we basically ran out of naloxone, and we needed to have more of that. So hopefully with some of this money that comes with the settlement, we'll be able to get more. And with that, I think I'd like to sign on to this resolution because I'm definitely in support of.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so the motion before us is to pass this late file resolution by Councilmember Evans. Councilmember Hall, you're recognized.
I just wanted to ask the sponsor, was, as a component of this, was there a wraparound service that also included some mental health component to that, since it's directly connected to addiction?
Yeah, Councilmember Evans.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and thank you for asking that question. So, and that'll be a good follow-up, I think, with Ms. Cirillo. One of the things that she and I, when we met and discussed this resolution and the idea of me doing a meeting, is we talked about kind of how money would come out through the state of Tennessee and the settlement. And there are people at Meharry involved and other medical professionals that will be providing feedback on guidelines and what activities, things that that funding can be used for. And so it's a great question, and I don't know the direct answer to that, if that would come out of this potential settlement funding, and potentially, I don't know, if Mike Jameson, if you have feedback on that or would be aware of that level of detail. No, the answer is, so we can, I think we can get more information for you on that. It's a really good question, but I don't know if it aligns with the guidelines from the opioid settlement with the state.
All right. Councilmember Hall, anything else?
No, I was just asking that because I knew about the Meharry component and other, and I was thinking about Elam Mental Health and some others being part of that conversation. I think that would be great.
Okay. Councilmember Hancock, you're next.
So thank you to Councilmember Evans for bringing this forward. One of the first things the recovery community in Madison did when I came on board council was train me on the use of Narcan. I really would appreciate this, and thank you. If you could please add me to this resolution. Thank you.
Okay. You'll be added to the resolution. Councilmember Hart, back to you.
I'd just like to say, I think a lot of this is because a lot of people are not aware, but one of the things that we do at Streetworks is to provide those wraparound services. And we meet with the police and fire, the EMTs, to share that. That's one of the problems that we've had, is that when they found people with overdoses, they did not recommend them to our organization in order for us to get them into treatment or to educate them on the things that they are doing. And that is something that we do daily. Meharry doesn't have a needle exchange program. They're trying to seek one, but we are the best game in town. And I would encourage you all to share and have them come to us, because Metro Health does send those individuals to us, and we partner with them in terms of disposing of the needles that many of them utilize. So this is something that's necessary, and the education piece of it is what's most important. But I can tell you that the wraparound services are there, they are in place, and we definitely would like to have more support. In fact, Metro Health spoke to the mental health co-op asking them, have they reached out to us, because I can tell you that over a 10-month period in 2021, we gave out over 1 million needles, and we had 800,000 returned.
Thank you, Councilmember Hurt. Any other questions? Councilmember Evans?
Thank you for that dynamic conversation. I really appreciate all that feedback. I think one of the things that I'd like to add, you may have seen in the Main Street News that our resource officers have been trained in naloxone usage at MNPS. So that is something that some people may not be aware of in your community. The issue has become very pervasive. Drugs around our community, including like starting up in Connecticut. Dia Cirillo mentioned today during committee that they're starting to see marijuana laced with fentanyl. And of course, that makes it even more challenging as drugs move across our country into our communities. So just wanted to point that out. And if you're a district council person, I would really encourage you, if you can't make the meeting on the 10th, to please watch the replay and please follow up with Josh Love, who's the epidemiologist at Metro Health that's specifically looking at all this data. He's got a wealth of information, and it's amazing because it's not the areas that you would expect for it to be happening in your districts. It's way more pervasive than you would expect. And so I encourage you to definitely reach out to him if you haven't already, and to watch the replay of that meeting if you can't be here in person. With that, I move approval.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Evans. Nobody else in the queue. We're ready to vote. All in favor of the late file resolution by Councilmember Evans, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Resolution is adopted. Thank you, Councilmember Evans. Thank you for the pretty thorough discussion on the resolution. I believe that's it on the late file resolutions, but I'm going to go back to Councilmember Allen. I think I just need committee reports on, there was the NLC resolution and the budget resolution. Sometimes these late file resolutions are not recorded, and so we kind of forget that they might have actually gone to a committee. So can you give me the committee reports on those two? Hold on. There you go.
So on the NLC late filed resolution, Budget and Finance recommended approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Okay.
And on the pre-budget public comment period resolution, Budget and Finance recommended approval, 5 in favor, 0 against, and 2 not voting.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Councilmember Allen. All right, we are now ready, I believe, for bills on introduction and first reading. Is there anything that needs to come off of this agenda before we vote on all the bills on first reading? Councilmember Henderson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to pull 1121, please.
Okay.
I have a substitute that addresses a typographical error.
Okay, so we're going to pull Bill 2022-1121. That's item number 47. We're not going to vote on that one on first reading. Anything else needs to be pulled? All right, so we'll take everything else together except for that first one, Bill 2022-1121. Is there a motion to adopt all bills on introduction, first reading with the exception of item 47? Got a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of all bills on introduction, first reading with the exception of item 47, say aye. Opposed, no. The bills on introduction, first reading are adopted. We'll go back to item number 47. This is Bill 2022-1121 by Councilmember Henderson. It's an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by amending Chapter 17.12, 17.24, 17.36, and 17.40 pertaining to the cluster lot option. Councilmember Henderson, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move the substitute with a brief explanation.
All right, so Councilmember Henderson has moved a substitute to Bill 2022-1121. It is in your packet, properly seconded. Back to you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Among the many sections of Title 17 that you mentioned in the caption of this bill, we left out 1728. And this simply, though we are having to substitute it because the change is in the caption, that is, in fact, the only change, is just getting the caption in order with 1728. Bill 1121, colleagues in 1122 are traveling together as a rework of our cluster lot option, an improvement and a transformation of that to conservation development. So as long as it is off of first here by way of explanation for the substitute, I would just bring your attention to the bill. I welcome your co-sponsorship. The planning department has an explanatory PowerPoint that staff can send to you. And Vice Mayor, I would also like to ask, per our rules, that the original sponsors be signed back on to the substitute in original order. And with that, I would renew my motion for the substitute, please.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, do we have all that information? We can get everything done? Okay, thank you. All right, so the motion is to adopt the substitute ordinance on a bill on first reading. Again, we're on the substitute first, properly seconded. Discussion on the substitute. Again, we're all on first reading, which just to get the substitute on. Any discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor of the substitute say aye. Opposed, no. Substitutes adopted. Now, Councilmember Henderson, you're on Bill 2022-1121 as substituted for passage on first reading.
Yes, Vice Mayor, so moved.
Okay, so the motion is to go ahead and move this as substituted on first reading, properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2022-1121 as substituted for passage on first reading, please say aye. Opposed, no. your bill as substitute is adopted on first reading. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Evans, I need you to come back. I think you've got 2 late file bills. Yeah. Sorry. I saw you walking over there, and it's like, no, I got to make you go back there. Nope. No, she just has to use her own mic. Sorry, Councilmember Evans, you have 2 late filed bills that I think I have to bring up. Let me find them. Hold on.
You could have found them while I was walking back.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I forgot. That hurt. No, I'll find my own bills. Whoop. I think I've got them. All right, so we're just going to go on to bills on second reading. No, we'll go back. So you've got 2 late filed bills. I think we can take them together because I think they're connected. All right, so the first one, let me read the caption. It's an ordinance to amend Title 17 by change from CS to SP zoning for property located at 3887 Central Pike, approximately 175 feet west of Central Court, located within a planned unit development overlay district. It's 3.11 acres to permit up to 112 multifamily units. That's the first one. And then the second one is an ordinance to amend Title 17 by canceling a portion of a planned unit development located at 3887 Central Pike, approximately 175 feet west of Central Court, 3.11 acre zone CS. Those are the 2 late filed bills. They're separate bills. Councilmember Evans, you're on both your late filed bills.
I need to suspend the rules, please.
Okay. Councilmember Vercher, you've been busy over there. These go before you all.
Up and down all night. Vice Mayor, that did not come out right. Vice Mayor, yes. Oh my God. Vice Mayor, stop it.
You know,
no objections.
It's only 8:25, Councilmember Vercher.
It was no objections on either one of them.
So there was no objection on either of those 2 bills. All right. Councilmember Evans needs to move to suspend the rules. Do you want to do that?
Yes, I'd like to move to suspend the rules.
All right, so Councilmember Evans has moved to suspend the rules on both these measures to get them before us so they can be heard on first reading. Is there objection to suspension of the rules? Seeing none, rules are suspended. You're on both your late filed bills.
Thank you. I appreciate, first of all, them being allowed to come before you. We had a little staff error that did not get them filed on time, and so this will carry forward with the developer and the contractual obligation with the seller. So thank you for keeping us on time.
Okay, so Councilmember Evans has moved passage on first reading of both these bills to go ahead and get them on the calendar. Properly seconded. Is there any questions? Or Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I vote, I'd like some clarity on who Ms. Berger was referring to. Like, was she talking about her own district or Councilmember Evans? I just need to know before we vote.
I'm not sure if I really want to go there, so I think I'll just, that question can be answered in writing, I believe. Councilmember Evans has moved passage on both those bills, again, for passage on first reading, properly seconded. Any discussion besides Councilmember O'Connell? Seeing none. All those in favor of those 2 bills say aye. Opposed, no. Both those bills pass on first reading. All right, we are finally, thank heavens, on second reading. Bills on second reading. We have a consent calendar. Let's go through those. I'm on page 31 of my calendar. The first item on second reading consent is item number 90, BL 2022-1113. That's on consent. 1117, item number 94 is on consent. 1118 on consent. 1119 on consent. And 1120 on consent. So it's just 5 bills on consent. Any of those 5 bills need to come off? All right, so let's, I'll read through the captions on those. First one up is BL 2022-1113 by Councilmember Young. Ordinance to amend Chapter 6.80 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to authorize the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission to set certain fees related to record and towing services. The next bill is BL 2022-1117 by Councilmembers Taylor, Allen, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government acting by and through the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewer Services to enter into agreement with Bancroft O'Quinn Jr. to provide improved public sanitary sewer service through the construction of an improved stormwater system. Item number 95, BL 2022-1118 by Van Reese, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public access easement rights, property located at 532 Lamont Drive. BL 2022-1119 by Stiles, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to adjust and raise casting of existing sanitary sewer manholes, property located at 5700 Crossings Boulevard. And BL 2022-1120, item number 97 by Evans, Allen, and Sawara. An ordinance approving a contract between the Metropolitan Government through the Police Department and the Mental Health Cooperative to ensure the provision, integration, and implementation of mental health training for the Metro Police Department personnel by the Mental Health Cooperative clinical personnel. Again, anything needs to be bumped off those 5 bills? Seeing none, I need some committee reports. Councilmember Allen, you've got Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered BL 2022-1117 and 1120 and recommended approval, 8 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Withers. You've got Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning met and considered BL 2022-1117, 1118, and 1119, and recommended approval, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
All right. Councilmember Evans, you've got Public Health and Safety.
Thank you. We considered 1120 and recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against.
Okay. And Councilmember Young, you got Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Transportation Infrastructure recommended approval of BL 2022-1113, 10 in favor, 0 against, and recommended BL 2022-1117, 1118, and 1119, 11 in favor, 0 against. And I will move approval of the consent agenda.
All right. Thank you for the motion. Councilmember Young has moved approval of the second reading consent agenda, properly seconded. Any discussion on the second reading consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay, we're back on bills not on the consent. The first one is item number 87, BL 2021-866 by Councilmembers Parker, Evans, Sawara, Bradford, and Allen. Ordinance amending Chapter 11.12 of the Metropolitan Code to prohibit passengers in a motor vehicle from consuming or possessing an alcoholic beverage or beer during the operation of the vehicle. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This will be deferred by rule due to having been deferred for more than 90 days.
All right, so it automatically will show up on the next calendar. It's deferred by rule. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. Takes care of item 87. This is item number 88. Councilmembers Allen, O'Connell, Sawara, Porterfield, and others, an ordinance amending Chapter 2.213 of the Metropolitan Code to create a mechanism for the implementation of the Inclusionary Housing Incentive Program. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I need to move to defer this with a brief explanation.
All right, let's get some committee reports just in case. Affordable housing is Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm looking for my report. We had...
it's item number 912.
Thank you. So we considered an amendment, which we voted 5-4-0 against. We recommended approval of the bill as amended, 5-4-0 against, and Councilmember Allen agreed to refer this back to the Affordable Housing Committee on 3rd.
Okay. Planning and Zoning, Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning considered this ordinance. We did consider the late amendment, recommended approval, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions, and approval of the bill as amended, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. And Councilmember Allen, you had Budget and Finance.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended the amendment, 7 in favor, 0 against, and then approved the bill as amended, 6 in favor, 2 against. And I appreciate all the approval from the committees, but this is a companion bill to BL 2021-832, which we are deferring for 2 meetings. So I will defer this as well. And in actuality, it has been deferred a number of times, so I think we'll have to do some procedures to actually bring it back.
Okay, so if it's been deferred, looks like 3 times, it'll be deferred indefinitely, and then you can put it back. late filed, she's got a late filed amendment on the bill?
Well, when I bring it back, I'll fix that, so I'm not going to deal with it.
All right.
The amendment.
So the motion is to defer the bill, which may be a deferral indefinitely. Properly seconded. Any discussion about the defer indefinitely motion? Seeing. One. Okay, I didn't see the other. So shit. Okay, so you're okay. So you okay. So do we need to say it's going to be withdrawn? The bill gets. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back to Councilmember Allen. We were checking. This apparently would be the fourth deferral, which means the bill gets withdrawn. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So Ms. Darby can correct me if I've got this wrong. We can, there are adjustments that need to be made regardless, so we will withdraw this one, introduce a new bill on whatever timing is required that will be compatible with the amendment that we were going to pass anyway. So I guess is my motion to...
The motion was to defer.
I will make that motion and we know what happens.
And then we know what happens. Okay. So the motion is to defer. It's been properly seconded. Just for you all to know, again, it's a fourth deferral pursuant to the rules. The bill gets withdrawn. But the council member knows that, and we'll bring another bill back pursuant to that. We're on a deferral motion. All those in favor of the deferral motion say aye. Opposed, no. This bill is deferred. All right. We're on item number 89, BL 2022-1089 by council members Allen, Stiles, and O'Connell. Ordinance amending Chapter 6.77 and Chapter 6.24 of the Metropolitan Code pertaining to the operation and regulation of entertainment transportation vehicles. Councilmember Allen, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move an amendment.
All right, let's get a committee report in there. First. Councilmember Young, Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The committee heard a new amendment to the bill that was already amended. So the proposed or new amendment this evening, the committee recommended 11 in favor and 0 against. And the bill as amended, if you will, was also recommended 11 in favor, 0 against.
Okay. A lot of amendments in there. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move the amendment, please.
All right. So we are on BL 2022-1089. Councilmember Allen has moved an additional amendment to the bill. Properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation of the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This bill, as everyone knows, is about regulation of entertainment transportation vehicles, which we were not able to do, and the state legislature is currently passing legislation that will enable our local government to regulate 15-passenger and more vehicles, which we seem to have a proliferation of. And this amendment simply spells out very specifically that we are delegating the responsibility for regulating the noise and the safety and the enclosure issues to the Transportation Licensing Committee. It cleans up some language that makes it clear that the Transportation Licensing Committee does not deal with the beer part of the permit, but that they have relegated that to the beer board, and its Councilmember O'Connell has already passed a bill that that deals with that piece of it. It refers to that and spells out very clearly that that's not the TLC doing that piece, and it makes an adjustment to the insurance requirements. So this has gone back and forth between folks at state, folks in the industry, folks downtown. Everyone has, at this point, seen this version of it, and it seems to be that we've made our peace and that this will enable us to keep the local control here and allow the TLC to, through their open process, come up with the regulations and then enforce those that we so desperately need to get a handle on this. So with that, I renew my motion for approval of the amendment.
Okay, so we have an explanation of the amendment on BL 2022-1089. You've heard the explanation. Any questions or discussions on the amendment? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All in favor of the amendment on Bill 2022-1099, say aye. Opposed, no. Amendment's adopted. Councilmember Allen, you're on your bill, Bill 2022-1089, as amended.
Move the bill as amended.
Councilmember Allen has moved the bill as amended, properly seconded. Discussion on the bill. We're on the bill on second reading. All those in favor of the bill as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill as amended passes on second reading. Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Now we're on item number 91, Bill 2022-1114 by Council Members Mendez, Evans, Rosenberg, and others. Ordinance amending Section 13.08.080 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws pertaining to the use of license plate scanner technology to add a definition of personally identifiable information. Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized.
Committee reports, please.
Okay, Public Health and Safety, Councilmember Evans.
We recommended a 2-meeting deferral, 7 in favor, 0 against.
Okay, and Transportation, Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
We recommended a deferral of 2 meetings, 11 in favor, 0 against.
All right, Councilor Mendez, back to you.
Thanks. I'd like to move for a 2-meeting deferral with a brief explanation.
All right, so the motion is to defer 2 meetings, properly seconded. Back to you.
Thanks. So the administration raised some questions with me, and we're still working on it. And we agreed that there would be a deferral so we can keep talking about it. Fundamentally, when we passed the LPR bill several weeks ago, I think there was an agreement generally among most of us, at least a majority of us, that there should probably be some definition of personally identifiable information in Metro law, if for no other reason than to keep different departments from adopting a different definition. So I committed to work with the administration, see whether we can come up with something, and then we'll have to share it with a couple of committees. I would recommend that anybody who's interested in hearing the full conversation from the committees, check out the video for the Transportation Infrastructure Committee today and the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting today.
Okay. So again, Councilman Mendez has moved to defer this 2 meetings, again, properly seconded. Any discussion on the deferral motion? Seeing none, we're voting on a deferral motion of 2 meetings. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, so the motion passes. That bill will be deferred 2 meetings. We're on item number 92, Bill 2022-1115, ordinance amending Section 13.08.080 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws pertaining to the use of license plate scanner technology to exclude existing with immigration enforcement as an allowed use of LPR. Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized on your bill.
Here too, I'd like to move for committee reports first, please.
Yeah, Public Health and Safety, Councilmember Evans.
We recommended a 2-meeting deferral, 7 in favor, 0 against.
Okay, Transportation, Councilmember Young.
Ditto, or shall I say, we also recommended 11 in favor, 0 against to defer 2 meetings.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized on your bill.
I'd like to move a deferral for 2 meetings with an explanation, please.
Okay, motion is to defer 2 meetings, properly seconded. Back to you.
All right, and again, check out the 2 videos from the committee meetings today for more details. But in summary, this bill has got 2 sections. One would prohibit LPR data from being shared with immigration authorities, and the second would prohibit using a hot list of license plates from immigration authorities. The analysis raises the state's aggressive anti-sanctuary city law and says, as written, this bill would violate state law. There's a couple different ways to go on how to resolve that. One would be to drop it completely. One would be to narrow it to just about the hot lists. This too, just trying to push it back past spring break and a little more time to think about it. That's the reason for 2-meeting deferral. So thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right, so Councilor Mendez has, again, has moved this to defer 2 meetings, properly seconded. Discussion on the deferral motion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral motion for 2 meetings say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. This bill is deferred 2 meetings. We're on item number 93, Bill 2022-1116 by Councilmembers Mendez, Rosenberg, Allen, and others. Ordinance amending Section 13.08.080 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws pertaining to the use of license plate scanner technology to ensure data access parity for the Community Oversight Board. Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Evans, Public Health and Safety.
We recommended approval, 6 in favor, 0 against, 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you. Transportation, Councilmember Young.
We recommended approval, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Okay. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized on your bill.
Thanks. I would like to move approval, again, with a brief explanation.
All right, so Councilmember Mendez has moved approval of Bill 2022-1116. Properly seconded. Back to you.
Again, anybody interested for third reading can check out the 2 committee meetings today. This bill puts the COB on the same playing field as the public defender and the DA's office. As we passed it a few weeks ago, the DA and the PD's office had the ability to both investigate complaints of misuse of an LPR, as well as have access to audit work papers in the audit trail. And this bill, consistent with what I think was a general consensus in the room about having strong civilian oversight of an LPR program, would just put the COB on exactly the same level as the PD's office and the DA's office. And with that, I renew my motion to approve.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Mendez. I've got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I wanted to note that I was the no vote in Transportation Committee, and I wanted to apologize for that because I read this backwards. So I will be voting in favor of that, but I read that we were doing the opposite of what this is doing. So after rereading a few times, I am not backwards. I am forwards. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
I'm just checking something, and my hearing is getting bad. So public safety, Councilmember Evans, I had written it down 6-4, 0 against, and 1 abstention. Is that right?
6 in favor, 0 against, 1 abstention.
And transportation, it was 9-4, 0 against. Was there I'm just trying to get the report.
9 in favor, 1 against, which was me.
Okay,
in
it was
error.
you. Okay.
In error.
Okay, now I've got it. Okay, and now you're indicating that you were in error. You read the bill wrong.
Just this once.
Thank you. All right. So I've got a motion to approve, properly seconded. We've got the reports now correct. Anybody else on the bill? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. We're voting on Bill 2022-1116 for passage on second reading. All those in favor of the bill say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill passes on second reading. Thank you, Councilmember Mendez. That completes everything on second reading. We are now on bills on third reading. Let me go through what items on the consent calendar. Item number 98, BL 2021-884 is on consent. Item number 99, 1091 is on consent. 1092 is on consent. 1093 is on consent. 1094 is on consent. 1095 on consent. 1096 on consent. 1097 on consent. And 1112 is on consent. And now I'm going to read them all to you. Okay. And I believe there are no committee reports. Right? Mr. Clerk, any committee reports on this one? I think they're all in. Okay. All right. Here we go. Item number 98, Bill 2021-884. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to abandon existing sanitary sewer mains, sewer manholes, and easements, and to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 4005 Utah Avenue. That's by Council Members Murphy and Nash. Item number 99, BL 2022-1091 by O'Connell, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing Nashville Urban Venture LLC to install, construct, and maintain underground encroachments in the right-of-way located at 609 Overton Street. Item number 100, BL 2022-1092 by Van Reese, Withers, Bradford, and others. Ordinance providing the honorary street name designation of David McMurray Way for a portion of Woodruff Street. BL 2022-1093 by O'Connell, Allen, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government acting upon through the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewer Services to enter into an agreement with PR Germantown LLC to provide improved public sanitary sewer service through construction of improved stormwater system. Item number 102, BL 2022-1094 by O'Connell, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer manholes for properties located at 806 16th Avenue North, also known as the Lofts at Marathon. Item number 103, Hager, Withers, and Young, BL 2022-1095. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assembly, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for two properties located at 725 Tulip Grove Road and 4811 Lisa Ann Lane, also known as Tulip Springs Townhomes. BL 2022-1096, O'Connell, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon and remove existing water main and to accept new water main and fire hydrant assemblies for property located at 804 14th Avenue North. Item 105, BL 2022-1097 by Young and Withers. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to abandon existing public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and to accept new sanitary sewer mains and sanitary sewer manholes for three properties located at 1170, 1176, and 1180 Dickerson Pike, also known as Dickerson Pike Townhomes. BL 2022-1112 by Councilmember O'Connell. Ordinance authorizing the acquisition of an interest in a parcel of real property and approving the granting of an easement above and below the same parcel in connection with the development of a project located at 215 and 217 3rd Avenue North. Can I have a motion to approve? Councilmember Young.
So moved.
Councilmember Young approves the bills on the consent calendar on third reading, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of all the bills on the consent calendar for third reading say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The third reading consent calendar is adopted. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Got a motion to adjourn, properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We stand adjourned.
And so the council has concluded about a 2-hour and 15-minute meeting tonight. The agenda was 37 pages long, included 106 pieces of legislation. Perhaps the most noteworthy was a bill on second reading that the council approved that would further clarify the rules surrounding the operation regulation of downtown entertainment transportation vehicles. The council passed a major bill about that last year. This bill was amended significantly at the last meeting and was amended again tonight. Apparently, it appears there's been a meeting of minds with the industry, with the council, and apparently with state regulators as well as the state legislature. It appears they will allow Metro to regulate it in the way this is outlined in the bill. And that's the way it will go forward. Again, this bill passing on third reading will need 21 votes, so when it comes up again for third reading in 2 weeks. The council also considered a number of bills tonight that were routine in nature. We talked about those at the beginning of it. We won't go back through those again. The council also approved a memorandum of understanding with the National League of Cities. This was a late bill to participate in the Southern Cities Economic Exclusion Initiative. Metro was chosen on a competitive basis with several other cities and will contribute a $25,000 match to collaborate with the league to design and implement local economic inclusion strategies that include ways to close racial and economic equity gaps for residents and businesses of color. Another rate resolution the council approved tonight would add additional public hearing, or at least a public process for people to give input into this year's budget process. It will be held at the next council meeting on May 15th, would last up to 2 hours with those signing up in advance receiving 2 minutes for individuals and 10 minutes for groups. In years past, there's always been a public hearing and will continue to be so. One held in June when the budget is pending on second reading. The second public hearing will be held by the council to reflect on more ideas and suggestions made by the public, give them more time to reflect about what those might be. Again, if you want to do that, the council is asking you to sign up to do that by March the 8th, 1 week from today. Council also approved another late resolution that would declare Thursday of this week, March 3rd, to be a day of prayer for the Ukraine, for that country, which is still trying to fight off an invasion by its neighbor Russia at this point. There will be an event, a prayer event, in front of the Metro Courthouse at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, if you'd like to attend. Again, 8 o'clock here at the Metro Courthouse. The council also met tonight. Somewhat of a sad note, at-large member Steve Glover has resigned, effective immediately. He's had some significant health considerations and felt it was best for him to step down at this point because of his health. Councilman Glover had served 2 terms as a district council member and about half, he's a little over 2 years of his 4-year term as an at-large member. He also previously served on the school board. There'll be no replacement. No one will fill his seat for the rest of this term. The Metro Charter does not set up any way to have special elections to fill seats among the 5 at-large seats on the council. So that seat will stay vacant until the next Metro election, which comes up in August of 2023. Council is now in recess until the 15th of March. That's 2 weeks from tonight. On the Ides of March, we'll be meeting again. We'll be here at that time to provide live coverage. Until then, I'm Pat Nolan, and good night from the council chambers. Tonight's meeting of the Metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County Council has been coming to you live from the council chambers at the historic Metro Courthouse. It's been a public affairs presentation of the Metro Nashville Network.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.